Good afternoon, everybody. Now your program has been made it different subjects and very short time everybody has to talk. That becomes difficulty, and plus there is no discussion. So the interaction doesn't become so fruitful. So when I was asked that, I told him I can talk on nuclear energy. That is what my whole career was there. Then it was said, after some time it came only 15 minutes. I told him I can speak only 1 minute. Will it be useful for you? That is what you have to see. What is the outcome of this exercise you are doing, efforts you are making? There should be some benefit to the faculty, students, other man who come. Okay, so what I want to talk today is just about nuclear energy. You have heard about nuclear, but many of you or all of you heard nuclear bombs. But you have not heard how you produce nuclear electricity from the fissioning of the atom. Very few people have heard. And if some accident takes place, there is an exaggeration and fear has been created in the minds of the people. So people oppose the nuclear energy in some countries. For example, Germany says no nuclear energy in our country, come what it may. But now they find it difficult to. So these are the various views, and unless you teach the public, because the electricity is produced for the people. The electricity is produced there. If an accident takes place, people are affected. So you have to convince the people that the accidents happen there. They are within the risk and benefit analysis which you do it here. And if you do it nuclear energy, other than nuclear energy, you build hydro project. Hydro project, if a dam breaks, what will happen to Sangli? For example, the Koyna dam breaks. Nobody has known, nobody discusses, nobody has. But because of the fear of radiation, they say that nuclear energy is very dangerous. So for that purpose, there was a very big growth in the 60s, but now it has been slowed down because of 2-3 accidents that have taken place. So what I would like to tell is, what is nuclear energy in a very brief. All of you have read through your school and college, some of the subjects. And then, why do we need it? That is also very important. People think that it is dangerous, so we don't want. But then what is alternative? And then third is it safe? Is nuclear energy safe take into account the experience which is there? So I start with the, the structure of the atom. All of you know, you have studied here. An atom consists of a nucleus and electrons revolve around the nucleus. And the nucleus contains protons and the neutrons which are there. So this is how the structure of each atom, from hydrogen to uranium. And when the atom becomes bigger and bigger, it becomes unstable. It cannot stay. The forces which want to disturb it here and the forces which attract their atoms, particles, they are not equal. So they don't exist. That is why there is no atom which is bigger than the uranium-235. So when the research was going on in the 40s, in the last century, the 3 German scientists, they discovered splitting of the atom. When they bombarded neutrons on the uranium, they were finding different elements, which we say, we cannot destroy the element and we cannot create. That was the science up to that was there. Now we are splitting it here, and when the atom splits there, it gives 2 fission products which are radioactive, which we have to keep it safely. And then we need to have another 2.5 to an average 2.5 neutrons are released apart from the 2 fission products. And then there is a 200 million electron volt energy is released. Electron volt is a very, very small unit of energy which is used for atomic and nuclear physics, but it is a very large energy when you come to 200 million one. And then if you put carbon, which normally we burn with various things for gas, for oil and all this one. So carbon plus oxygen is CO2 plus 4 electron volt, only 4 electron. And when the atom fissions, it gives you 200 million times. That means 5 crore times more energy is coming out of every atom from uranium-235 compared to carbon. So this is the reason, it is tremendous amount of energy that comes out of the fissioning. And that is why it gives us energy for a very long period. If all the uranium that is been there, we consume it, in various type of reactors, including the fast reactor, we get thousands of years of energy. So we don't have to look for any other energy source. So this is the rationale behind the using. Now when this atom is split there, this is a physics one I told you, but when this atom gets fission, it have to arrange in a particular fashion in a physics wise. So in atom, when you have got a fuel, which you put uranium will be there, then there will be a moderator. It slows down the neutrons which are born there, and then there is a coolant which takes away the heat. It is not only the heat generation, it is the heat generation. We have to utilize it here for produce something useful. So when the water is heated to steam, high pressure temperature, it drives the turbine, and the turbine drives the generator, and generator sends the electricity to the various places. So this is how, in brief, the nuclear energy is. It is a high source of energy, and the 2.5 neutrons which are coming, it is self-sustaining. It continues to split the next atom, then next atom, then next atom, then next atom, and that grows very rapidly. And this reaction takes place in microseconds. You imagine microsecond time, and that is why there is a danger also. If it goes out of control, then you cannot have the utility of the energy, plus there will be damage and other thing. So this is what the research was going on from 1945 or so, after the atom bombs, because nuclear energy was introduced as a form of bombs. Hiroshima, Nagasaki, another thing, and then the Second World War came to an end. So this is how the energy is there. So this energy, what you do, for example, if you take a petrol, you put in your car, you can drive it for miles together, useful work you do it, all that thing. But if the same petrol barrel, you take it and put a barrel in the matchstick, burning matchstick, what will happen? It will explode, and that energy cannot be used. Whereas if you put in the car, you can use it for so much useful, doing so much work. So this is the difference between the two. The energy is the same, but in one thing is uncontrolled, another is controlled energy. So this is how, now when the nuclear energy was developed in 50s, 60s, 1950s, 60s one, that time it was there, different countries had do research in a different way. The physicists will work, the engineers will work, the electrical people will work, and they find out a new thing, like cars. Today we have got so many models of cars, but the whole purpose of the car is to transport you. You will have 4 doors, 4 wheels, engine and all that thing. But today it is going on different thing. It will run on petrol, it will run on diesel, it will run on gas. Now hydrogen will be coming out, now solar panels will be there. So this source of energy will going to be different there. So this is what the thing is there, and why we are searching for this new source of energy of solar and all that thing. It is because the normal energy, petrol and other thing is going to be over. Then it is polluting the atmosphere. The climate change is taking place, and today we are seeing what is the summer this year is going to be. So climate change is taking place, and there are many disadvantages of climate change. A lot of economic damage and in terms of death is taking place. So we need to have an energy resource which will last for a longer time, but it should be safe. So this is what happened. Now the American boiling water reactor, pressurized water reactor, then pressurized heavy water reactor, then gas cooled reactors, and then sodium cooled fast reactor. These are few things which are being developed into that. Many of them have reached the commercial stage, and some 500 reactors are operating in the world today. But the growth which was supposed to go there is not going because of the fear of the accidents. I will deal it in the end of the lecture there. So this is what we need. So we need energy which will last us for a very long time. But oil and gas will be another 30-40 years will be over. What will you do then? That is why hydrogen is being put into the car, or electricity is being put into the car. So in a similar fashion, we need an energy which is, for a growing population, we need to have energy. Similarly, it should be sustained. We should sustain our living standard. Today we live in a rich fashion, and our children will not have anything to do it here. So that should not be the case. So sustainable energy should be there. A large energy resource should be there. It should be safe. If it is not safe, people will not accept it here. It should be competitive. Suppose somebody sells you electricity at 4 rupees and somebody sells at 10 rupees, nobody will buy 10 rupees electricity. So it should be cost competitiveness, it should be. And another is that the very small quantity of uranium is required to give you large energy. So transport of fuel will not be a problem. Today we have to transport coal, means one big ship is required, whereas in uranium you can bring it in probably in one aeroplane what is required for 10 years. So these are the advantages of the nuclear energy which is there. That is why it is being developed on a large scale. It was there in 60s, 70s. In fact, there was a lot of competition was there. But there is a side effect was there, that when we tell you the nuclear energy, the advanced countries, they say that if we give this technology, you will learn to know how to make bombs, and you will put the bombs on us. So we cannot give it here. So a nuclear non-proliferation treaty was made by the United Nations, and people had to make them with this. Now those treaties are not equal for all. They are deliberately more, because the 5 countries large, which are France, UK, USA, Russia, and France, UK. So 5 countries are there. They will have bombs. Nobody else will make bombs. And at that time, India had said, no, if we need for our defense, we need to put our bombs. We have to do it. We will do it in our own. But for you to become own, we are educating you in nuclear science and engineering. That is why we don't give you this technology. But initially it was there, and few reactors we built it with their thing. Then afterwards we are building on our own reactors which are there. Now this is the reason why do we need nuclear energy for this. Now there are other things. Hydroelectricity, which is made from water, storage of dams and other thing, is limited. There are rivers are there limited. There are places where you can put it here is limited. There is a large amount of expenditure is involved. Construction takes long time onto this one. So that is the way it was started. Now few years back, it started solar energy, which was there, and which our Prime Minister had put a lot of emphasis, which is available to you ever. Thousands and thousands of years is available. It is non-polluting, it is non-accident, it is very cheap technology, and that is why in India we are producing about 15% of electricity today, which was never imagined 10 years back. That has grown so much here. And another important thing that happened, that the solar photo cells which are there, their price has reduced by 100 times. 100 times you can imagine. And that is why the solar energy is growing at a very, very rapid rate in China, India, USA, and other things. So, but it has a limitation its own. It is a weak source of energy. It will be available only 9 to 5, and then you need large areas for spreading those solar panels. So we need large of area and other things. So there will be limitation onto that. So considering all these aspects, every country is to need its energy needs, its resources available, its technology that is required that is available, and then one makes the planning of that countries. So this is in short, this energy requirement is for our own thing. And why do we need energy? Because the energy when we make there, it works for us. Our living standard improves very much. You might have seen how many cars were there about 2 decades back. Very little cars were there. Now there is no place where you can park your car. It is that much, the magnitude of the car production has gone up there. Similar way into that we want to have in our house very comfortable. You don't want to wash the utensils now. Girls will say, no, it is not our job. So you need a machine for washing the dishes. You need the machine for vacuum cleaner. You need the machine for cloth washing. You need many things. Farmer wants to have motor for electrical thing. They want a tractor which will have it there. All that thing. Then industry has to grow, means you need electricity. So for improving the living standard of people, the economic growth has to be made there. You need to have energy, and that energy works for you. And what is the definition of energy? Energy is the capacity to do work. See, when I lift from something to here, energy is required. And if I have the capacity, then only I will say I have the energy. So this is how after the industrial revolution, tremendous amount of growth has become. And the bad effect has become climate change. Now you may have money, you may have intelligence, but the Earth's atmosphere has no capacity. Its capacity is limited. and there is nothing I can do in my country, this one, no. Everything you leave it to the atmosphere, it goes, mixes in the atmosphere, and it starts the climate change which is there. So this is the reason why we need energy in a very large term for a long period, which is safe and price-wise competitive. Now coming to the energy, which is we are talking about this one, it should be safe. There is no point in having large energy and very cheap energy, but accidents take place, people will die into that, and that is why we don't know. So safety is an important aspect or the basic aspect of any energy resource. And in earlier cases, this one, the energy resources were very small. For example, petrol is there. Hardly one accident will take place over there. But cars are not accidents which are not there. Trucks are not accidents. Building houses is not there. So these many sources of energy which were used for this one, there is no accident thing. If it is accident, is very small, limited to have. But if the nuclear accident, reactor accident takes place, it will affect many things. People always think like Nagasaki, Hiroshima, 1 lakh people will die. So what is the use of all that? And you are building so many reactors and so many things will happen. So people have imagined, people who oppose them, they made back propaganda and all that thing. I'll tell you one thing, the goats have got here something, 2 things. Sometimes they have this here, from the goat they come out. Now when the people will start this one, they found one goat, they were having 2, something, which comes down. And then the opposite people, they will say, "Arey, this is due to nuclear." Suppose cancer takes place, he will say it is due to nuclear. But cancer takes place with smoking, with chewing tobacco, and many polluted food we are eating it. So the cancer is increasing with this one without increasing the nuclear. There are countries which have no nuclear energy, still they have cancer. But people make the propaganda where opposition is there. You have seen the work bill in Parliament, how the people argue. There is no point in, when you argue something, you must say, yes, this is right or wrong. And then you put them in the basket. What is not, so you discuss it and then put it there. So that kind of a debate, healthy debate doesn't take place over there. So everybody puts it here, everybody exaggerates. Now, there are 3 or 4 points which are there for the nuclear energy for this one. One is radiation. The nuclear energy emits radiation, as I told you, the fission products which are coming out, they are radioactive. And their radioactivity is very long period is there. Now, in the reactor, the uranium gets converted to plutonium. Plutonium gets to americium. It goes to neptunium, it goes like that. So all are higher elements which are man-made, they generate into the reactor, and their half-lives are very, very long. Some of them have to be stored for 1 lakh hours, 1 lakh years. Now, this is the thing. So, one is the radiation, and there is safe storage, waste management, whatever you call. Now, what happens is, when I told you energy release is very large, so very less amount of energy has to, atoms have to be split. So, the quantity of energy release is very, very small. Suppose a person uses every energy, every use of energy is made from nuclear, the total energy in waste will be only this much, 75 years of average life. So this waste, but the bad point is, this has to be stored for lakhs of years. Then people question, how do you sure that lakh year it will be saved? There will be an earthquake, there will be flooding, there will be war, and all sort of things will be there. Under that condition, how it will be saved, that one. So these questions were answered by the scientists of this one, is that this radioactive waste which is there, that you convert into glass, mix it with the sand and then heat it to a high temperature, it becomes glass. And when glass is there, on glass if air goes, there is no reaction. If water goes, no reaction. If human being uses or touches it here, there is no transfer of radioactivity. Though it is there, radiation he may get, but the material is not transported there. So this is the reason a glass was made. This is called vitrification. So this glass which is made there is filled into stainless steel tubes and it is buried deep into the earth, so that at no point of this. Now again there is a question, what will happen if big earthquake takes place? So these are imaginary things, we will keep on coming on that. Now the second point which was made adjusted was there, that when you decommissioning, when a nuclear reactor life is over, which is about 50 to 100 years old, they work, And that time you have to decommissioning that because it is radioactive. The radioactive is only the core where there is a radioactivity there. Rest of all the parts, civil engineering, steam water system and all those work, office, electronics and other things, nothing is radioactive in that. So all that can be removed, and the small radioactive which is there, it can be stored in the form of glass for a very long period. So this was. Now there are recent research that has been made that if this radioactivity you put in a fast breeder reactor where the neutron fission takes place by fast neutrons, and these radioactive elements which are there, which are very long period, 1 lakh hour, they split and they give you little energy. So radioactivity is destroyed. The another advantage you make in the fast breeder reactor is the radioactive fission products which are there, they are radioactive. On that you bombard with the neutrons, they split and then the radioactive destroys. As it is created by fissioning, it can be destroyed also by bombarding the neutrons. So this is called the waste management of the nuclear. So the waste is very, very small, but it is very long, let us say 3 lakh years. But if you destroy in a fast reactor and put it here, it comes to 300 years. From 3 lakh years to 300 years. And this 300 fishes, this one it can be easily maintained, nothing will happen. Like Taj Mahal has lived so many years. Many old temples have lived many, humanity has lived at so many things. Then they say, why did Mohenjo-daro and Harappa destroyed? Do you know? Nothing. So if that sort of an accident takes place, another thing. Now the question that scientists ask is, when there is no human being left out for this one, so if the radioactivity is there or not, doesn't matter. When all the people will die, what for you limit the radiation and you take care of it. So there are all these arguments are there and continues to argue on that. The third aspect comes is the nuclear weapons. They say the country will have the technology, and that technology they will use it for making bombs, and in the case of war, it is has, Pakistan always threats with India. We have bombs and we will kill you. As if India doesn't have bombs. So this is the thing which is there, and because of this fear, a lot of money has been invested into that, and people are coming here, they sign some agreement, then they do it here. They don't obey the argument, like limited arms treaty organization between Russia and America. They will have, because they have large stockage, about 10,000 bombs each country has. So this is the thing which is people are afraid of. So you don't build any nuclear reactor. So there is no fission material, there is no other thing. But if some country decides to do it here, like Iraq. Now Iraq is making bombs. America says, no, you should not make. Israel says you should not make. Otherwise you will stop your work. All the, wherever there is an atomic stations are there, or power devices, laboratories are there, they will bomb and finish it up. This is what happened in Iraq also. So this is what is. So people must agree first that we will not make weapons. Tomorrow if you got a stone here, if I hit it to somebody and then that will do damage. But I put the stone for using something in construction, it will be useful. So how the science and technology is to be used depends on the mankind and not on the bomb. So this is an important thing that has to be conveyed to all the people, and that is how the last aspect which comes out is into the in this nuclear this one is, people say it is very costly, it requires large resource. Yes, it is a lot of things, but the construction cost is more, but the fuel cost is less because large energy is released per day. So this by using this one, the total energy cost remains comparable to other things like gas or hydro or this one. Suppose one is 4 rupees, one is rupees 3.5 rupees, one is 4.5 rupees. So like that, they are all comparable, and that is why they are being built into that. But today the main concern is an accident in a nuclear power plant which will destroy it there. 3 Mile Island accident which took place in USA, that was the first accident in a developed countries. When that was there was a radioactivity came out. But radioactivity has a limit. It is not that radioactivity slight is there, you will die it or something. For example, we are getting continuously radiation from the solar system or the universe, from various stars are there. And from there we are getting. But nothing happens to us. We are living. We are not even thinking of it. So there is a limit in which it will be harmful, in which there will be will not be harmful. So suppose you travel by air, you go out in the atmosphere, the radiation from this one is more than compared to the at the sea level. So you are getting, so you travel by air, you will get more radiation. For example, when I studied, I worked 40 years in the atomic energy, and I received very small quantity of radiation, when we go into the reactor and other thing. I get more radiation when I travel by air. So there is, people must know that. In our body, suppose our carbon-14 atom is there, that is very, very small quantity, but it is radioactive. When we drink milk, we have potassium into that one, which is radioactive. So there is a radiation everywhere, but there is a safe limit about radiation. And this safe limit has been defined by the radiation scientist. It is called Indian International Commission on Radiation Protection. So they decided, and everybody has to below that radiation level. But then the people spread lot of rumors and on that one. So education of the people is very important into this. Suppose you don't need, for example, the government doesn't have to take permission for you to build some defense thing. Permission doesn't, you want to, ISRO is working on to that. There is no risk to the people who will die. There may be money and useful utility will be there. That has to be seen. So there are certain different technologies, different technologies which are there, it will be having. So these are the factors which are being taken into account into the radiation. Now I worked for about 40 years into the atomic energy in Bombay, and then this one, and now we have 8,000 megawatts of installed capacity is there, but total organization is not proper. See, when we want to do a particular project, you need people work, operate on that one. Everybody has to work it. In a given time you have to work. You have to discuss it here. You have to come proper decisions, and then you can progress it here. So this is how it doesn't happen in our thing. The science and technology has not been properly managed. Not only in atomic energy, in many places, but only in ISRO it has been made. Dr. Sarabhai, which was there, he has made it here. What is the purpose of science? Science purpose is for the society, and not the society is for science. So this is where I like to stop here. Now this subject I wanted to have maybe 1.5 hour lecture and then discussion, so that we will have. Now I like to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to be here, but it's a very short time. Whatever explanation I can do it here, I have done it. Thank you very much.